Big news today, but what's going on and why are Ford, GM and now Volkswagen stopping with their EV production? I think what we're seeing now is a mix of increasing EV orders and a lack of supply chain infrastructure to keep things going at the rate of increase that we're seeing this year. So I think it's the increase this year has just been so great. As I mentioned in a recent video, there are about 40 million EVs on the roads globally. So roughly, it depends what month you pick this year when you get that statistic, but generally 40 million EVs on the roads. This year we will be adding about 15 million to that. So that's an increase in 1 year globally of 37% more EVs in a year. That's incredible. So no wonder Volkswagen are struggling to supply themselves with enough motors. Welcome back to the channel, folks. I'm Ben Alexander and I make EV news videos every day for those of you that don't know who I am. Thank you also to the YouTube members and Patreon members for donating to support my work. There is a new tier which is about $1.50 a month, and it helps me to just get by so I can keep making these videos because I do put a lot of time into these videos. The easiest way to help is just by pressing subscribe and the little notification icon next to it as well, and just like the video. Those two things are free and they help me a lot. So remember to let me know your thoughts in the comments at the end too. So there's no doubt this is a challenging time for automakers all over the world. Maybe not BYD, they're really doing well, but the demand for more affordable EVs is growing really fast. And the amount that people have to choose from is growing rapidly. So Volkswagen can't produce motors to get into their vehicles fast enough. So they had to put down all of their tools and pause, as in their words, pause, for an initial time of 3 weeks, which I think it will be longer than that, obviously, with the way things are looking. That's how bad things have gotten for them. And in fairness, things are difficult enough for vehicle manufacturers in an ordinary decade, but since this whole new EV shift started taking off in maybe 2010, 2012, Tesla started really being a thing and whatnot. Roughly, there's this whole new angle for them, and it's a really big deal. So GM, on the other hand, they've been doing really well in this part of their business, but they just can't sell anything. So that's an issue, isn't it? So much so that the amount of vehicles sat in their sales yards tripled this year. Cars that they've been building and shipping to their yards, and then people just aren't buying them. So they announced that they will also take a back seat, so to speak, with, that sounds like a really bad pun, but it wasn't, but they're having a pause from their production too. Also, Ford had a terrible year. They announced that they're doing pretty much the same thing. They only sold something like 15% of the amount of Ford F-150 Lightning electric pickup trucks this year. So I'll just repeat that. 15% of what they had aimed for this year, 2023. That's pretty bad. So that's like running a small business like an ice cream shop, and then you aimed for $100,000 in sales and you only sell $15,000 in sales. It's pretty bad. That's how bad. Because if that was you, as a small business, that's pretty bad. But if you're a big business, there's a lot of liability, a big concern. You've got all these big, 2-ton pieces of metal or 2.5-ton pieces of metal sat there. That's a big issue. So the rapidly growing demand for EVs worldwide, is this the right way or this way? Exponentially, it's put immense pressure on the supply chain. And frankly, I think that the supply chain largely just didn't exist, at least not 5 years ago. And because of places like ARM in the UK, and they sell chips, by the way, the computer chips and whatnot, and BYD, for example, they're doing really, really well, these companies, and they're having to expand so fast just so that, BYD, for example, can build stuff which they have literally already sold. That is what we're seeing here because of the number of people seeing electric cars and then buying them when perhaps they otherwise would not have been interested in buying a new car that, this particular year, for example. It's an increase in car sales, period, almost twice as much as what would have been the case if pretty, as you would imagine, if there were no EVs and everything had gone in such a way where they were all ICE cars, we're now seeing twice the number of car sales in that respect. I hope I explained that properly. But so a lot of people are buying cars when they would have just kept the money in the bank or not thought about another car, for example. And it makes sense in some places to buy an EV, I think. You might save a lot of money doing so rather than just keeping your old petrol or diesel car. And they are significantly nicer to drive and be in than internal combustion engine cars generally. And I think that's my opinion. I'm sure a lot of you would agree. Even though Volkswagens can be a bit pricey, they are still selling really well. And if you don't have experience with them, they really are spectacular to drive. If you've been in the Volkswagen ID4, for example, almost perfection. It's brilliant. And I think that was the most commonly sold car in July in Norway, I think, or June, one of those months, I think. Don't quote me on that. They are very close to perfect. They're really that good if you've got the money to buy one. And then I hope that it is good enough that it will be running in 10 years' time or 20 years' time. But I have no idea about that. But now people can go and buy BYD, and then they can save thousands of dollars for what is quite a close match in quality. It really is that big of a deal. So my only concern with Volkswagen is that in their cars is, in recent years they've been plagued by electronics issues, which is not great anyway. And when you make an electric car in this modern period, for example, where you need to have lane assist, or not parking assist, but you need to have lane assist, I think it is, to have a 5-star Euro NCAP rating. So this is an issue, There's a huge amount of sensors in these modern cars and cameras and a lot of electronics. Some of them are kind of integral to the running of the car, like having a big screen in the middle that does your air conditioning and stuff. And if these things go wrong, it's very expensive, and that's for me, that's a really big concern. It's a massive concern. And I may have said in a recent video that if you browse Marketplace, I almost challenge you to do this. If you do bother to do this, put it in the comments below. If you check Marketplace on Facebook, or I guess Gumtree, or wherever it is you buy cars, Craigslist if you're in the US, you will definitely see a really good car, Volkswagen, that seems too good of a deal to be true. But then when you click on it, read the advert, it won't take you long before you find one that seems like a really good deal, but it has an electronics issue in the transmission or something like that. Like the car goes into limp mode and basically the owner has given in with it. And it's that bad. It's so bad that I can confidently say you'll definitely see this if you go and have a look now within 10 minutes. You'll definitely see that. And that's really sad because I really like Volkswagens, and I used to work for them for maybe a year or a year and a half when I was younger, a long time ago. Not enough to buy one though, with this in mind. I wouldn't buy one with my own money. So I'll just mention again, for those of you that didn't see the community post, AliExpress is having the biggest sale of the year right now. I think it's until the 17th of this month, so another few days. And at the moment, you can go and buy one of these power stations, one of these, the All Powers, I think it's the R600 or R600, and it's 239 Aussie dollars delivered in Australia, and that has LFP cells on it, and it's beautiful. And it's delivered from Australia to Australia for that. And I think if you go on AliExpress and have it shipped in Europe and stuff, and the US or Europe and whatnot, you have to pay extra shipping. But $239 if you're in Australia, really at least have a look, because they're really, really good. It's really, really good. And I'm not going to put an affiliate link below. I probably should. This one was supplied to me by All Powers, but I just thought I'd show you anyway. AliExpress is a bargain. And I won't put a link below so I make any commission from it. I just won't do that. I haven't seen these for less than 300 for months. And very rarely will you ever see them for less than 320 on a discount. So to see it for 239, it's pretty cool. And I've tried the Bluetti. I've tried, what's the other? I've tried a couple, and then I've tried All Powers. And All Powers is just better in every way. Like having 2 plugs on it, The input voltage is much better because it can take up to 60 volts. A bigger rating for like capacity ratings like 288 watt hours. The fit and feel of it is just really nice. It has a bit of a noisy fan when it does come on, but I don't really mind that because the actual air that it is displacing is a lot. And as we're in Australia anyway, I don't care about a noisy fan. I just care more about having good cooling, so that's fine. So you should go consider it. They're really, really cool. If you enjoyed this video, then please click the like button so that YouTube knows that people are enjoying it, and please consider subscribing so that you are shown my daily videos about electric vehicles. But remember to subscribe and then press the little icon next to it, like an arrow or a bell, and then you can select how much you want my notifications.